Hey guys, Chris the Belly Guy here. I am currently sitting in a parking lot of a church I have a rehearsal at later. And I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but I'm going to start talking, I guess. So, it's been a little while. I've been re-uploading my, also, before I get into that, I have this kind of annoying, cut that broke the skin, and is I accidentally ripped it open with trying to secure a bolt while I was spinning the other half with a drill, and it was jaggedy and it just ripped my skin open after it had half healed, so it kind of hurts. So I may be flipping my 51 most of this, but balls. So sorry. So as of right now, I'm currently working on all of these steps to go to CDLA school. If you don't know, a CDLA driver's license is a commercial driver's license that allows you to drive 18-wheelers. Now, let's talk about my education that I have just left. I was currently just finished with my third semester at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe. And the reason I left is a lot of reasons. Those reasons firstly start off with, I was going to be there for the next 3 years minimum. So the reason that is because of all of the core classes that you are required to take, despite the fact that your major is already 2 majors as it is. Music education is a very difficult degree that not many people end up actually completing. And it's a degree that has a lot of extra steps that are completely unnecessary, and by that, I mean core classes. This semester, I have, firstly, the Algebra 1 class, just the college algebra, introduction to college algebra, whatever you want to call it, is so unfathomably, painfully, and unreasonably set up to make you fail. You have to do every single assignment to take the pre-test, and you have to take the pre-test to take the test. And if you fail more than one test, goodbye. Now, I'm not saying that the rigor is the hard part. It's the fact that it's an algebra class, and I'm getting a degree to teach music. So you would think that in the perfect world, if you're required to take classes that you were already required to take to graduate high school, why should you have to take it again? And if you do, why should it be the hardest class out of everything you're taking? I was doing fine in my music classes. I failed that class twice. I failed that algebra class twice. And the reason I failed is because it's so poorly set up. And I can't blame the teachers I had for that. Well, I can blame one of them, but the second teacher I had got me further, and they definitely were helpful. But, I mean, even the second time I took it, they banned the more advanced calculator. So my problem with that class isn't also just the difficulty, it's the lack of real-world understanding. If you're going to make someone take a class that doesn't coincide with their degree even slightly, there's zero reason I should be able to determine a function if I want to teach music. It will never, ever happen that I would be in a classroom in the real world and then just, oh yeah, let me describe this music in the terms of quantifying this function. It's just completely unreasonable. And this has nothing to do with the school itself. It has to do with the school system and the politics surrounding what classes have to be legally required. And that's all partially, in fact, that tuition needs to be higher for these colleges to make an absurd amount of money. But on top of that, you know, the cost of tuition is only inflated like multiple times more than the average salary has increased, or just, you know, the price of the dollar in general. It's ridiculous. So that's one thing. That algebra class is poo-poo. So the other thing is that when I got to ULM, I had more scholarships than any music student have had in a very long time. And I was also, mind you, the repair technician at ULM my freshman year. And I'll get into why that changed. But you would think that the most scholarly student in a college, specifically the music college, would have, you know, a very large chunk of their tuition deducted, because colleges want these students that are extremely scholarly, and they want these students that are very capable to be able to set an example for what other students could be achieving and be this academic example of greatness. No. So the tuition at ULM is about $26,000. So for one, that's just ridiculous. I think when my parents went to college, it was less than $5,000 a semester for sure. And that's just like one generation difference, I think. Anyways, so yeah, so you know how much my scholarships covered? It was barely $10,000 of that 26. And the only reason I could afford to go to ULM without having to take out student loans, which is part of the entire reason I felt comfortable leaving, because I hadn't synced a bunch of money into this degree. Part of the reason that I was even able to afford it is because my dad has a state job, and there's these fancy things called state employee discounts. You know, it only deducted it to about $1,200, but at least I only had to pay the price of, you know, the entire tuition when my grandparents were in school, because that only makes sense. It only makes perfect sense. So I only spent about, probably about $4,000 total out of my own pocket. My parents didn't pay for my college. He gave me the discount. That was more than enough for him to be justified to give me. And yeah, I've been paying to go to ULM, been working. I mean, obviously I didn't pay it entirely up front. I mean, my dad helped me. He was like, okay, you got to pay me back on this, but I'm gonna help you pay for your tuition. And I'm like, okay, and I've paid him back for everything so far. At least I think. It's better than just straight up flat fronting the cost, but still. So that's another thing. So part of the problem as well is that, like, I got straight A's in my 11 of my 12 classes this semester. The only class I failed was my math class. And that was because I gave up on it. Because I reached the point of no return. I was doing so poorly. I was spending my other music classes just trying to do this math class. That's how difficult it is. Like, and what's so disappointing is that you have people like me that are absolutely perfect for the actual task at hand, but because you can't do an algebraic equation, you don't deserve a degree. Like, it's preposterous. It's absurd. So you're telling me that just because I can't do a math problem, even though I'm already like an educator, I've already educated many students before on the topic. I'm a great educator in the eyes of a lot of people. I pass my music classes to a T every semester, and I'm an extremely good performer. I don't qualify for a degree because I can't pass a core class, which is absolutely just unreasonable. Like, that is like a spit in the face. And And I'm not going to stand for it. I mean, I'm not going to waste my money. And then on top of that, I took 11 classes for music alone. This is not an easy degree. And it's not easy when you don't have core classes. So when you put other core classes, like my first semester had 24 hours of classes, but I only get credit for 18 of them because you can't have students making more than 18 credit hours because then they have to pay for it. And we can't have that. So what I did my first semester was I went to my advisor and I told them, I want you to distribute the load of credit hours as evenly as possible across all these classes. And I'm not gonna lie, I threw a fit about it. I was like, this is unacceptable. You have the power to do this, so do it. And she did, and I appreciate her for that. She distributed my classes, and I wasn't doing the greatest my first semester because, I only had 3 core classes, and I only had, like 18 other credit hours worth of classes. So, it's just ridiculous. So, another thing is that I used to be the repair technician at ULM. So, it's kind of in bad taste and in disrespect for me to go into the exact reasons as to why I'm not anymore. Point is, I didn't do anything wrong, just the position of the school around me changed, and, it was decided, we just can't have a repair technician. It's just too much of a liability, It's not really a great idea. So, yeah, so I am no longer the repair technician at ULM. So, for perspective, there's some dirt up in here I'm trying to get out. So, for perspective, I calculated that, and I calculated on very loose terms, meaning that, like, I calculated this number as conservatively as possible based on the cheapest rates that you can get instruments repaired. And, yeah, I calculated the amount that I work based on a very fair assessment of how much something should cost. I didn't say, oh yeah, I charge what the big dogs make. I'm gonna make as much as them, or I'm gonna say that the work is as much as what they did. So, but I did also account the cost that it would have costed to ship it to a professional repair person, because there's no repair technicians in the area. So part of my assessment does include the shipping cost that is included in most repairs to get it even to the repair technician. So with that being said, I saved my school $80,000 in instrument repairs. Not to say that I saved them any money, because they weren't going to spend that money anyways, because all the instruments are going to disrepair anyways, because heaven forbid that we have pride and respect in the instruments that we use and that we actually keep up with the stuff that we use. No, there's more important things to spend money on. Or there's just, not money to spend to begin with. Lack of funding is also a problem, but it's not the only problem. There have been opportunities. I look at the budget. It exists. It never happened. So, yeah. So, you would think that if someone came to a position to assess a student that was volunteer working on instruments and had years of experience repairing instruments and building instruments and playing instruments, you would think that someone with 3 or 4 years of experience, that they're doing some pretty solid work, and they're saving about $80,000 a year. That's not even to account the time that I have off. I didn't work on breaks. I worked during school hours. I worked on my time off between classes, and maybe at the end of the day, a few days. Yeah, it's just, I don't have the words to describe my lack of understanding and cognition required to like, process what goes through someone's mind to say, oh yeah, that dude, he saves us $80,000 a year for free. Let's take his only efforts to work on instruments. Let's kick him out of the instrument repair room, because no student should ever, under any circumstances, unless they're a graduate assistant, have their own room to work in a building. Okay. I don't make the shots around here, so I guess it wasn't meant to be, I guess. So one of the big things that I was captivated to go to ULM for was, one, the brass choir, which is just like an ensemble of brass instruments. Two, the scholarships I said I was going to be getting, which I got all of them, but they were less than what I expected. And three was a practice room that I was promised, but we'll get into that later. And four was the repair room. So I was promised when I came to ULM, and this is not to the fault of the person who promised me entirely, but it has it can be partially blamed on them for not checking everything first. But I was promised when I came to ULM that I would have my own office to fix instruments, and in return, you think it's fair that if I save them thousands of dollars a month, I would be able to use that room for my own personal needs. And I did for the entire first year. But there was always disrespect for position and from certain individuals that may or may not be professors, and those people, I'm not even going to get into that, because it's just, I probably should, but I'm just not going to, because I don't want to be that guy that upsets everyone because I say something that's true that is also on my mind. And I know for a fact that if I say something, people are going to be like, oh, you talked badly about this one person. This person is so good to me. My feelings are destroyed. You are a horrible human being. Like, a part of me wants to just say grow up, but that'll just fuel the fire. I'm not looking to make everyone hate me, but, yeah, let's just say that even though I was using the repair room, there was a very severe lack of respect from some people who should have been supporting this decision, and they may or may not have been a faculty member. And it's not like I also helped them directly by helping them do certain things that they had zero understanding of what to do in that situation. It's not like I applied certain aspects of my life I was going to use in engineering school or go be an electrician to help them, or, just in general. Like, is it that hard to be a nice human being and have respect for others? Because apparently not. It's too hard. That's the world we live in. Can't have respect. So, yeah. So, the whole time, I'm having to fight to even just have my door closed and keep my stuff safe from being messed with. Because there is a problem, and that is that ULM, for some reason, can't keep the band building door closed at night. It's so difficult to keep a door closed and locked that we have had homeless people come into this building and just start sitting down on the couches in the frat offices. Like, are you kidding me? You're telling me that this college at a state university can't keep the door closed? Ridiculous. I have more stories on that to say later, but, yeah, stuff would get messed with on occasion by, the occasional homeless person that would just walk into the building willy-nilly and just mess with stuff, break stuff. what ended up happening my second semester at ULM is that someone actually did end up coming in. Thankfully, my door was closed that day. And what happened was that they decided that I'm in the jazz band because that's one of my, like, 30,000 scholarships that only cover half my not even half my tuition, 1/3 of it. They decided, I'm going to find a way to open the string bass locker for the jazz band, even though it was locked. I'm going to play on it, and I'm going to destroy the amplifier and pickup on that bass. It's an acoustic bass pickup. Those things are like $100, and that's a cheap one. So that's moderately aggravating, you know, that the instrument that I'm supposed to be expected to play and was still expected to play no longer operates properly because a door can't stay closed at nighttime. That's just too complicated. So nothing was ever done about it. And the jazz professor had to buy 2 new amplifiers. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that just fantastic? Oh, and in the meantime, we tried having them fixed, and that didn't go very well. So I was without an amplifier for a while because it was in the shop, and then the shop was like, oh, we don't work on these. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? And then they work on it, we get it back, literally absolutely nothing was done. Like, my language, but this entire, like, experience for me as a student has just been a shit show. It's just been terrible. And, I mean, like, do you blame me for leaving? Because I don't blame myself, and I don't really care what you think, but I don't blame myself for leaving, because the amount of just bull that I had to deal with is just unnecessary, just ridiculous. So another thing is that, first semester at ULM, I decided, you know, I kind of want to try playing string bass in the wind ensemble. Yeah, I hated that, but I continued it and finished it even though it was absolutely terrible. And I ended up getting first chair as a freshman in the wind ensemble the second semester. And that was fine. I had a lot of fun being first chair tuba. So, here comes this semester. I'm trying to remember if anything happens. Oh yeah, so the new director comes in of the music college, and I have a job over the summer in Pennsylvania, which is why I bought this van that I'm sitting in right now. And I drive up there, do my thing. I leave all my stuff in the repair room. You know, I come back and just like everything is absolutely in shambles. I had a locker in there that I was allowed to use. They had just like cut the chain off of it. They had gone through my stuff. They had just moved everything around. They had broken pictures that, like, they knocked them off the wall and they came on the ground. Yeah, I was told that the physical plant did that, but... So, you know, and then I get the news, oh yeah, you're not going to be the repair person anymore. Get out. So, you know, I only had to move, like, a metric crap ton of musical instrument repair tools out of that room. You know, I only had to move, you know, just like 3 carloads worth of stuff. So I had to borrow my dad's vehicle just to even do that. It was ridiculous. And keep in mind, I live in Baton Rouge, and this is in Monroe. So, switch valleys. So, yeah, I'm like, you know, it's just, this is just my opinion, but kicking someone out despite their very positive reputation, for no given reason other than that you just want to make changes and prove to the people around you, I'm a competent individual at what I do. You know, it feels kind of silly to kick a student out of an office if they're saving the school $80,000 a year. And I'm not just, like, I didn't say this before, like, I'm not making that crap up. I have records for the instruments that I worked on. like, do I really, like, I'm not making it up. It's real. Like, and I was willing to show him, but nope, didn't care. So, yeah. So the whole reason was apparently liability. So my rule with working on an instrument is that if I couldn't afford to pay to have it repaired in the event that I made a mistake, or just outright replace the instrument, I would not work on it. I didn't work on oboes. I didn't work on bassoons. I didn't work on brass instruments that were like 2 years old or even like younger. I just didn't do it because I know my limits. And all the school instruments anyways were older anyways. So that like literally was not a problem. There was not an instrument that I worked on that I could have damaged or did damage or that was possible to be destroyed that I could not fix. Yeah, the worst thing I ever did was I accidentally broke a sousaphone, but I was playing it when that happened. That's not even the same ballpark. And it was instantly excused because the people that were in charge at that time had enough brain power to say, you know what, I think it's fair that you accidentally destroyed this one instrument this one time, because it's not like you fixed everything else that we use. It's preposterous. Like, that a system like that can't be utilized anymore just because no reason, completely no reason. So yeah, come around this semester as well, I auditioned for a wind ensemble on tuba. You would think, oh, you either get in or you don't, right? No, I get put on string bass again when I said I'm not doing string bass again. And what I should not have said was, if you're going to make me play string bass, I cannot play tuba at the same time because the logistics behind that is a nightmare. So whatever, that had zero effect, zero respect for me as an individual. Oh yeah, you play that instrument, we need you. You must absolutely play that instrument. Even though you absolutely hate yourself and it literally gives you hand problems to play it every single day of the week, and you're already paid to pay it otherwise, in another application, but not for this specifically, you should be forced to play that instrument under the grounds that you are required to play your main instrument. Like, no, what is wrong with you? Like, do you think that's really okay? It's just not. Like, and I'm not gonna say that it is, because it's not. Like, you're telling me. And I actually found a loophole, and if I was returning next semester, I was going to decline and go to the dean if they forced me to, because it goes against the student contract and expectations that are required. Well, unluckily for me, someone eventually broke into the band building again, because, well, when the doors are unlocked, it's basically just free real estate, free property for anyone who decides to walk in. The meth-addicted homeless person that walks by the building and sees the door is closed and is like, I'm gonna try to open that door. They just go in there and they start sleeping in there, and that's happened. We've found homeless people sleeping in our building before. Oh, and another thing, I used to fix the door every time that it broke last year. I fixed it maybe 4 times. It's not that complicated. A part would come loose and I'd fix it. Eventually, the door broke because someone lost the part, because I'm not allowed to fix things anymore. Heaven forbid that I keep up the building that I have the respect to be in. Let me rephrase it. Heaven forbid that I have respect for the building that I'm in, and because I work on instruments, I keep the building that I'm in clean, and I make sure it's operational, and that people can't break in, and that the doors don't get forgotten to be locked at night. Because I used to do all those things. And whenever they kick me out, I'm like, screw it, I'm not doing that anymore. You're not going to have respect for me. I'm not going to have respect for you. So what happened was the door broke. And then, people just came into the band building and slept and all that. Oh yeah, and then someone was messing with the string bass, left it on its back, which, if you didn't know, is like leaving it's like waterboarding a baby. You just don't do that. It's like, why would you do that? It's a horrible idea. It's horrible for it. Like, stop. Get some help, please. So They left the base on its back, but what I noticed was that, so on the bottom of the base, you have this, it's like this, it's just like a big, like, round bottom. And at the bottom, like where my two fingers are moving, there's this, like, little, like, circular thing that has, like, a screw that goes into it with, like, a big, like, a hand screw. And that holds the peg in, and it goes through the center of it. I know. But you screw it in, and it holds the peg so you can adjust the height of the instrument. Well, someone came into the building and just destroyed that wooden piece. So, that string bass was completely inoperable. Thankfully, it wasn't the jazz bass, because if it was the jazz bass, they wouldn't have cared. They would have been like, find some wooden blocks to stand it on top of. I don't care. Just keep playing. Because, sorry about that, but we can't protect our own instruments. So I would have kept the bass in the bass locker, but, some random alumni that plays at the school, like, every once in a while, that I replaced whenever I got to ULM because they needed a string bassist for jazz band so badly, decided that he was going to keep his string bass in the bass room, and the only slot that was left to hold the only string bass that I was using at the school that wasn't for the jazz bands. So, I just had to leave it out, and I tried addressing it, but no one cares. It's too difficult to, like, actually solve problems, so we're just leave it out, or find somewhere else to put it. Oh, you don't have that repair room anymore to lock the instruments in whenever you use them and people take your spots. Just leave it on the floor in the band building. So yeah, someone just comes in and breaks it, and I send an email to the person that I have to address that with, and I don't get a response. They just come and look at it, and then they're like, okay, use the other one. So the other one is the jazz bass. So the difference is that the ensemble bass has a higher string action. Oh, I haven't even started talking about the bow that I have to use. This video is going to be well over an hour long, but I really hope I don't run out of storage, because that's going to be really annoying. So the strings are just higher, and it's designed to be played acoustically and not with a pickup. It's that simple. So when I play on the jazz bass that has a pickup on it and isn't made to be played with a bow, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. And part of the problem is that I was supposed to get a new bow, because the bow that I was using was quite literally disintegrating in my hands as I played it, and it was giving me wrist problems. And if for those in the know, it was, the German style bow, and I prefer German style. So yeah, they ordered bows. They ordered 7 of them because, percussion needs bows, and I need one. Never come in. Ordered in like September, still yet to have gotten them. And I'm not going to get to use them, so I'm done. The bow that I was using was absolutely horrid. And in all respect, I did not take much care of it because it was the $20 Amazon special, and it was very clearly so. But, some people are going to say, oh, have pride in what the school gives you. It's what they have. Yeah, that school had money that whole time for something like that. Never once gave it to me. So yeah, I had to perform on that, and it was painful. It was horrible. I complained about it a lot. Never got fixed. Zero respect for the individual student here. And it's not like I've given more to the university than most students have. You would think that I deserve some kind of respect or care. No, too complicated. So, yeah. I mean, and then other things as well as to why I left. Like, one of the main reasons is that some musicians have the capability of just being self-aware of what they need to work on to improve something. And I'm apparently just one of those students, because that's what my professor tells me. I mean, every time I go to tuba lessons, it's always just subjective minor things, or things that I already know that I need to fix and put time into. But guess what? I can't really put time into it whenever I'm busy trying to pass a double major class that is completely complicated, expensive, and overly processed, that I can't even focus on part of my main focus on my degree. It's just stupid. Like, why would you get a music degree at that point? And then if I was going to get a music degree, the only reason I would need to go through all this is so I can get my PhD or my DMA in like tuba pedagogy or something, so I could be a professor. And then, I mean, at this point, I'm realizing, you know, professors have to deal with all this extra crap that they don't want to deal with, just like me. And I'm gonna be sitting in my office doing more work outside of what I want to do than what I want to do. And I'm gonna be getting paid crap. I mean, not to out anyone, but like the average pay is like what, 50, 60,000, and I'll get into why that would work for me. But like, it's just for going to school for, you know, 8 or 9 years. You would think that excuse me, I got the hiccups and the burps. You would think that you would get paid more for that. It's just not worth it. It's not worth my time. I don't want to be 26 when I start making money. I just don't. Because I'm going to have to be working the whole time, assuming I get graduate assistantships. I mean, I could, but no. I just realized enough is enough. I'm going to go do something that I've wanted to do for a while. And I was thinking about being an electrician or being an HVAC worker or being a lineman, like the electrical lineman kind. But then I realized, you know, I've always wanted to drive trucks. Because I realized my passion for driving whenever I got this van, you know. It's really opened my eyes. And it's made me realize I love driving. I mean, granted, I might not like it after I get this job, but I'll at least like it for now. I love operating machinery. I just love it. And, I mean, granted, being paid a trucker isn't the greatest. I mean, the salary ranges from, what, like 80 to 90, I'm sorry, from like 18 to 98,000 a year. And being a brand new guy in a horrible market and economy for truck drivers, it's not going to go the best. But, I mean, I'm willing to be a tow truck driver. I'm going to get a CDLA, and I'm going to make sure and I'm taking a test and a standard, so I can drive basically anything. And I'll get my hazmat endorsement and whenever I turn 21 in May, and I'll be able to go abroad anyways. But, yeah, it's like, there's downsides to it. I'm not denying that. And I've been doing a lot of research before I made this decision, because I never thought I'd drop out of college until now. Most people don't think they will until then anyways. But I had been kind of thinking about it for a while. It's like, just as a joke, like, what if I just dropped out and became a trucker? Like, I feel like my life would be so much more simple at that point. But, like, and I realized, you know what, that I wasn't wrong when I was joking. So, yeah, I'm about, thankfully there's programs for this school I'm going to that if you have, like, ADD or any kind of disability, asthma, anything really, anything that allows you to drive, you can get your tuition waived. And I have ADD, so I might be able to get my tuition waived. So I'm applying, and even if I don't, I can finance it, put $800 down. But the reason that I'm fine making, what, it's $19,500 was the lowest. I said 18. It's $19,500 a year. Even if I was making that little, I mean, I'm not giving up my church gig, because I'm a Catholic church organist. I'm not giving that up. And if I was doing that, I mean, I'm still making, what, $29,000 a year. I mean, that's assuming I don't miss any Sundays, but I make up some on Wednesdays and on holidays. So I don't need a lot of money. Like, I know, like, the whole consensus is, oh, you need to be making a good amount of money. The middle class, to be middle class in this country right now, is $100,000 of a salary. Like, to live comfortably and have extra money to spend elsewhere, if you have a family, is, like, a wife and 2 kids, is $100,000 combined income. That's ridiculous. That is unacceptable. Like, this economy is absolutely just ridiculous. I'm not going to get political because I know people don't want to hear me talk political as much as I would love to. And I've talked about that in the past, about how, like, I don't want to hear other people's politics. But I'm gonna respect y'all's opinion and not want to hear my politics. So, you know, the economy's bad. That's all that matters. It's terrible. So, yeah. But living in a van is cheap, and it's dirt cheap. Before food and groceries, which thankfully my parents still help me pay for because I have a part-time job. I work 1 hour a week, and thank God I make $175 at that. That job was the only thing that kept me going at ULM. Like, if I didn't have that, I would have had no money because I didn't have time to work a job. I don't know how some people do the 4-year graduation plan and then have a part-time job working at Starbucks. And, I mean, they still make less than me, and that's the sad part. And I got lucky because I built an organ. I needed a place to put it. A church needed it, and they needed an organist. And I was like, well, I'll be darned. I'll be your organist. And they were like, we'll pay you $175 because you have to drive 20 minutes to get here, 30 minutes to get here. I'm like, oh, yeah, heck yeah, I'll do that. So, and then now it's also become a utility because they let me put stuff there. They let me store some stuff there. I mean, I just took a generator off the back of my van because my rack, oh, I thought it stopped recording for a second. I was like, oh. But the hitch part on my hitch rack is like, it's just like bent. So I had to take one of the generators off, and I had to take the rack off and find another creative way to mount my smaller inverter generator. But yeah, it's what's the word I was going to use? Yeah, so living in a van is not that expensive. I spend like about $144 on gas, driving 150 miles a week, and that's a very liberal estimate on the price of gas and on the miles driven. Stupid spider on the outside of the glass. You don't see that? No, you can't. But, and I love living in a van. I've loved it. I just love it. There's something about it. I don't get bored of it. It's my home. It's everywhere I need to be. And I don't need a lot of things. I mean, sure, I'd like to own some things in life. I mean, I might get a second vehicle too, but I don't need a whole lot when I have this. I mean, it's simple. I never thought I'd be the kind, because I've always been very materialistic, but I never thought that I would be a simple, like, small home kind of person. But I see it now. And I mean, like, let's say my cost of living is like $300 a month. People pay rent. Like, I know people that pay like $600 a month just to live in the worst apartment I've ever seen in my life. Like, on-campus housing is $1,200 a semester. I mean, those housings are literally cinder block rooms that you share with one person and share the nastiest bathroom to ever exist in mankind. It's absurd. And but at least you can get student loans to cover that. You can't get student loans to cover your own apartment. I live in a vehicle. It needs repairs pretty frequently because it's a 32-year-old Dodge. It was manufactured in November of '91, and it's getting old. And I love this vehicle. It's so simple to work on, and people always know how to work on it, and the parts are always available. So, granted, I'm having some issues right now. I mean, I've always. So my passenger side idler arm for my steering rack, not steering rack, but like all the steering linkages, decided it was going to be loose. And I noticed when I was greasing some things under there, I was like, oh, that's not good. And my steering wheel before would make a pop whenever I turned it all the way. And then I learned later that I would lose complete control of my right steering if that broke. So that would have been bad. And then thankfully I was only driving like 50 miles per hour whenever I knew that was bad, because I was told it wasn't safe to drive on, but it would be okay for a little longer. So yeah, I paid $230 just to have it, the part put on, paid for the part, and have the vehicle aligned in the front for that. So the other problems I need to have addressed are, it's starting to leak oil. That's inevitable. It's going to leak oil. Before, the leak was so slow, it wasn't noticeable, but I'll get a few drops of oil on the ground every now and then. But I've got to make it till I can make a salary. And that's going to be and I graduate the school on February 1st, and I start January 8th. So I'm not going to have money to get that worked on until then. And then on top of that, I think my transmission fluid is slowly starting to leak as well. And I think it always has, just extremely slowly, to the point to where 30,000 mile intervals never leaked. But I need to be checking my fluid level and make sure that it's going to be okay, because granted, I do plan to manual swap this van and put a 5-speed in it, and I mean, it's gonna, don't notice the mess back there, but there's gonna be a shifter that comes out the floor, and it's gonna have to come forwards and over to the front for me to be able to use it. But I mean, the hardest part's gonna be finding the pedal assembly, the transmission, the drive shaft, and the clutch and all that stuff. So I mean, it's possible, but I like this vehicle enough to where I will put as much money into it as it takes to keep it running, because if I get the only other option, really, it's gonna cost just as much to go get a newer vehicle as if I do everything to this vehicle for the rest of time, which is like a Mercedes Sprinter. Now, a Mercedes Sprinter van, I also want to Cummins swap this van with the 5.9 Cummins, but the thing is that, like a Sprinter van, Mercedes Sprinter van, it's going to cost more. It's always going to be more expensive to work on, because just because a part has a 3-bladed logo on it, it instantly costs 4 times more than the part did when it was manufactured. It's so stupid. Granted, they're reliable vehicles and they're pretty resilient in a lot of ways, but I can always afford to pay to have this fixed. I don't know if I'm going to ever be able to pay to replace a DPF randomly whenever it decides to fail at the 1,800 mile mark, because I decided to idle my vehicle because it was cold outside. It's like, I can endlessly work on this vehicle. I could rebuild it from the ground up if I wanted to, and it would still be cheaper than just buying a new vehicle. So I do need to get my engine seals replaced, and I need to have all my brake work done, because I can tell my brake, it's either the master cylinder or the slave cylinder. It's starting to show its age. Whenever I press on the brake pedal very lightly when coming to a stop slowly, I can feel like sink points. It's not like it sinks to the floor, but like points in it, it'll just like tap, 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 and just like sink a little bit, like a very, very small amount. Thankfully, I have a very, very good parking brake, and it can slow down the vehicle pretty well. So worst comes to worst, I'll drive as little as humanly possible with my hazard lights on, and I'll have to use my parking brake to stop me the whole time. But I don't think it'll get to that point in 2 months. I hope it doesn't, because I sure as hell cannot afford to get it done before then. And like, it's not even like it's expensive. I mean, like, sure, all the work I'm talking about may cost, like, what? If I had a shop do it, which I'm probably going to do some of it myself, I'd probably spend, like, I don't know, like $2,000. So you're going to spend that same $2,000 paying for the vehicle that you really want, like a newer vehicle, or just having it replaced, like parts replaced normally. And then you have so many more to worry about. It's so bogus. It's so silly. I don't like it. I like this vehicle more. It'll never fail me. It's failed me a few times, but all reasonably. The fuel filter clogged. It wouldn't start, heaven forbid. And then, what else? I mean, besides that, the starter went out. You know, the starter was 31 years old. I do need to get a new starter because I damaged the, I forget what it's called. It's the part that pushes it out. My vehicle, when it wouldn't start with the fuel filter clogged, I tried starting it a whole bunch of times, and it just did not want to start. So, I tried starting it too many times, and I think I overheated the starter, and I think maybe a plastic part inside failed. So I'm going to get a remanufactured starter, because I just got that just to get me driving when I was in Pennsylvania. It was like a $100 starter off Amazon. And now there's more options, because originally a remanufactured starter was like $230, but now they're like $98. They're not that bad, so I'll go ahead and get one. But I just got paid $175, and I have like, what, 200 and something dollars in my account. I gotta save my money for some things, you know, to, you know, get through school. And I'm working a lot this month I would have started CDL school sooner, but I have gigs to get done because I already agreed to do them. I have 2 more. I'm outside of the place I'm going to be doing my next gig at, and I have it for the next like 5 days, and I have a Monroe Symphony Orchestra gig, and then I did another gig earlier this month. So, I mean, I should be making a lot of money this semester. Hopefully it's enough to survive on, because I don't have any family that's able to save me if I financially go down a hill. I say that to an extent, yes, like a few $100s, but there's not much that can be done if something significant happens. Also, a rock hit my windshield, and I'm so sad. Like, I keep getting, like, randomly, I've just gotten, like, multiple chips in my windshield in completely separate locations. And just, like, randomly. I'm just like, darn, that sucks. And, like, it's not even, like, a small chip either. It's, like, this big. It's like, damn it. And the problem with that is that I don't know if I could ever get another windshield for this vehicle unless I have it completely, like, made from scratch. Which would be expensive, but it's still better than the latter. A new vehicle. And I can always just do clear tape. That's just a joke. I would never do that. I would just drive without a windshield momentarily. But yeah, maybe I should get a cover for my windshield for whenever it's at nighttime, in case a storm comes through and hails, like what happened and destroyed some of my friends' windshields. Thankfully, I was nowhere near that when it happened. But yeah, that's all the... I mean, I'll talk about my CDL intention. So, I've been studying for it and getting ready for it. And I either want to do... And, I mean, I'm tempted... I'm ready to do a lot of things. I'm ready to work for a company like UPS or Walmart, or eventually, whenever I'm legally allowed to, do hazmat, like gasoline and all that, do hazardous materials, or I'm willing to do, like, tow trucks and stuff. I mean, I'm willing to do a lot of things. I'm not going to be an owner-operator, and I really don't want to do a lease, because that seems to be failing right now, and the market's really bad. Just remember, I don't need to make a whole lot of money, so it doesn't matter how bad the market is. As long as there's a job that there is to be taken, and it's not horrible, I'll be able to live, and I'll be able to keep my van running, and my life will keep going, and I will be okay. So, yeah. Sorry for the lack of content uploaded lately. Hopefully this accounts for a lot of it. Y'all have been viewing my channel a lot. I appreciate that. I'd love my channel to be restored to its former glory of, you know, like 8,000 subscribers, but I doubt we're going to get there very quickly. We're only at like 500 now. There's a video I'm contemplating uploading. It's one of the old videos. It's just titled 400, and it's me with, like, super young with my braces with the worst front-facing camera you've ever seen, holding a Rubik's Cube and a knife, like, thanking the viewers for 400 subscribers. It's like the cringiest thing you've ever seen. And I'm contemplating if I should upload it or not, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, with that being said, I think that's everything I wanted to really say. Feels good. Part of this YouTube channel is that I get to talk about things that are on my mind all at once, for just uninterrupted. I don't have to listen to anyone respond to it and be like, oh, you're wrong there. That was stupid. Why would you say that? I can just talk freely and let people listen to me. And then at the same time, people love watching me flip my knives while I do it, and just talk about things and just be me. And that's the one thing I love about YouTube. I can always be myself, and there will always be someone that wants to watch it. And of course, I'll probably just get taken down again for child endangerment. God forbid. I swear, like 6 of those videos I tried to re-upload from the past got labeled as, like, they got marked for child endangerment. Like, bruh, these weren't even marked before. What are you telling me now they're marked for child endangerment? I try to appeal them, and of course the algorithm, it doesn't know, oh yeah, that video actually does not have a child in it. In fact, we can't even tell what exactly is in the video, but it has to be child endangerment. So, screw me, I guess. I'm gonna go. Not that I have anything much better to do today. It's 1:34. I have until 6. I gotta start my rehearsal. but I'm fearing I'm running out of time on this video in my storage, and it's going to take an absolute, like, week to upload. So, yeah. I guess thank you for watching. I always appreciate the people that watch my videos and comment. They just love to see me talk and flip a knife every now and then. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.